Danny rubbed his eyes for the 100th time that day. The lights of the horizon's edge hummed softly above him as he walked down another corridor. 36 hours. That was how long he had been awake. 36 hours of checking doors, scanning rooms, and making sure the human delegation stayed safe. He was a security officer. It was his job to protect Ambassador Lisa Morgan and her team. They were traveling to the for important trade talks. There were cat-like aliens who did not trust humans very much. Every detail had to be perfect. Danny stopped at another door and checked his scanner. Nothing. The room was empty and safe. He moved to the next one. His legs felt heavy, his head felt foggy, but he kept moving. The delegation was counting on him. The ship belonged to the captain, ran it with strict rules. The crew watched the humans carefully. They were polite but distant. Danny understood. Humans were new to this part of space. They had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Trust had to be earned. Earlier that day, there had been a false alarm. Someone thought they heard strange sounds near the guest quarters. Danny had spent 4 hours checking every room, every vent, every access panel. It turned out to be nothing, just the ship's cooling system making odd noises. But he could not take chances, not with the ambassador's life at stake. Now it was late in the ship's night cycle. Most of the delegation was asleep. Danny had just finished his final security sweep. He should go to his quarters and rest. He knew that. But first, he wanted to check the recreation room one more time. The recreation room was a shared space where humans could relax. It had soft carpets that felt like grass. They liked it because it reminded them of home. The humans liked it because it was quiet. Danny stepped inside. The room was empty. Dim lights created gentle shadows on the walls. He looked around slowly. Everything seemed fine. His scanner showed no problems. Good. He meant to turn around and leave. He really did, but his legs had other ideas. They felt like stone. His back ached from standing so long. Maybe he could sit down for just a minute, just 1 minute to rest his eyes. Danny walked to the wall and sat down on the carpet. The soft material felt wonderful after hours of standing on metal floors. He leaned his head back against the wall, just for a moment. He would close his eyes for 60 seconds, then go to his quarters. His eyes closed, his breathing slowed. The exhaustion he had been fighting for a day and a half crashed over him like a wave. Within seconds, Danny was asleep. His body finally took what it desperately needed. His head tilted to the side. His arms relaxed. He slumped against the wall, completely unaware of anything around him. 20 minutes later, small footsteps padded into the recreation room. It was a young cub. She had soft gray fur with darker stripes. Her ears were large and always moving, listening to every sound. Her eyes were bright green and full of curiosity. Was not supposed to be wandering alone. Her mother was a high-ranking member of the council, was in an important meeting about the upcoming trade talks. She had told to stay in their quarters and sleep, but was not sleepy. She was bored. The cub had explored most of the ship already, but the humans were new and interesting. They looked so strange without fur. They had flat faces and tiny ears, and they made funny sounds when they talked. Entered the recreation room looking for something to do. She stopped when she saw Danny. A human was sleeping on the floor. That was odd. She had never seen a human sleep before. She wondered if they slept like did, curled up in comfortable positions. This human did not look comfortable at all. He was slumped against the wall. His head was tilted at a strange angle. His neck would probably hurt when he woke up. His mother had taught her that warriors deserved respect. And from what she had overheard, this human was a warrior. He protected the others. Moved closer, her paws silent on the carpet. She studied Danny carefully. He was breathing slowly and deeply. He must be very tired to sleep in such an uncomfortable spot. Her people knew about exhaustion. Warriors sometimes pushed themselves too hard as well. An idea formed in her young mind. If this warrior was so tired that he fell asleep on the floor, he must need rest badly. And if he needed rest, someone should make sure he rested well. That was what her mother always did for her father after long missions. Looked at Danny's tilted head. She made a decision. Moving very carefully, she approached the sleeping human. She could smell him now. Humans had a different scent than not bad, just different, like warm metal and something else she could not name. The cub positioned herself next to Danny. Slowly, gently, she settled her small body against his side. She adjusted her position so that her back supported his tilted head. Her soft fur cushioned him like a pillow. Danny's head rested against her without waking. His breathing stayed deep and even. felt the warmth of the human through his uniform. He was warmer than she had heard that humans came from a harsh world. Maybe that was why they ran so hot. She curled her tail around her paws and became very still. This was important, she knew. When someone was so tired they could not even find a bed, they needed all the rest they could get. Her mother had told her stories of ancient warriors who protected whole villages while exhausted. The greatest honor, her mother said, was when cubs would keep watch so the warriors could finally sleep. Did not fully understand politics or trade talks or why the humans were here. But she understood this. The human warrior was tired. He had been protecting others. Now it was someone else's turn to watch over him, even if that someone was just a small cub. She would not move, no matter how long it took. She would be his pillow, his support, his silent guardian. 4 hours passed, remained perfectly still. Her muscles began to ache. Her back was stiff where Danny's head rested against her. But she did not move. She had made a choice. She would see it through. Other crew members walked past the recreation room during those hours. Some glanced inside and saw the unusual sight. A human sleeping on the floor, a cub serving as his pillow. They did not disturb the pair. They simply nodded and continued on their way. In culture, this meant something. When a cub chose to protect a warrior's rest, it was considered sacred. It meant the cub sensed something pure in the warrior's heart, something worth protecting. The crew members understood this without speaking about it. A young male named stopped at the doorway longer than the others. He stared at Danny with wide eyes. He knew her mother, council member. This was unusual. His daughter had chosen to honor a human. An alien pulled out his communication device and sent a message to his supervisor. Meanwhile, Ambassador Lisa Morgan was conducting her own rounds of the ship. She liked to walk before sleeping. It helped her think about the next day's challenges. The trade talks would be difficult. They had many concerns about working with humans. She needed to be ready. Lisa turned a corner and headed toward the recreation room. She enjoyed that space. It was peaceful. Sometimes she would sit there and review her notes. As she approached, she saw standing in the doorway. "Is something wrong?" Lisa asked in the language. She had studied hard to learn it. Turned to her, his ears flicked back in surprise. "Ambassador, you should see this, but please be quiet." Lisa's heart jumped. Was there danger? She moved quickly to the doorway and looked inside. What she saw made her freeze. Danny was asleep on the floor. That was her first thought. Her security officer, who never seemed to rest, was finally sleeping. Then she noticed the small cub pressed against him. The cub's back supported Danny's head. Neither of them moved. "How long?" Lisa whispered. "I do not know," replied quietly. "But I have been here for 10 minutes. Neither has moved at all." Lisa felt alarm rising. "Should we wake them? Is the cub okay?" His expression changed. His ears lifted. "You do not understand. This is a great honor. The cub has chosen to perform a guardian's blessing." "A what?" "A guardian's blessing. It is an old tradition. When a warrior is too exhausted to seek proper rest and a cub chooses to help them sleep safely, it is a sign. It means the cub has seen into the warrior's spirit and found it worthy of protection." Lisa stared at the scene again. Danny looked completely at peace. His face was relaxed in a way she had never seen before. The cub looked determined, her green eyes half closed but still alert. "Has this ever been done for a human before?" Lisa asked. "No," said simply. "Never for any alien. This is the first time." Lisa felt the weight of those words. She pulled out her own communication device. This was important. This was bigger than she had thought. She sent a message to her second-in-command, asking them to come to the recreation room immediately but quietly. More began to gather. They did not enter the room. They simply stood in the corridor looking through the doorway. They spoke in low whispers. Lisa caught some of their words. "Remarkable. A human? The cub is strong. Look how peacefully he sleeps." One older female approached Lisa. She had silver fur and moved with the grace of someone who had lived a long life. "Ambassador Morgan," she said. "I am Elder Shen. I serve on this ship as cultural advisor." "Elder Shen," Lisa said, bowing her head slightly in respect. "Can you explain what is happening?" The elder looked into the recreation room. Her eyes grew soft. "That cub is daughter of council member. She has chosen to give a guardian's blessing to your security officer. This is not a small thing. In our history, cubs only do this for warriors they instinctively trust. It cannot be taught. It cannot be faked. It comes from the heart." "Danny has been awake for 36 hours. Lisa said quietly. He was doing security checks. He must have sat down to rest and fallen asleep. 36 hours, Elder Shen repeated. That explains the depth of his sleep. His body demanded rest and he could no longer refuse. The cub must have found him and understood his need. What should we do? Lisa asked. Nothing, Elder Shen said firmly. We wait, we watch, we respect what is happening. When the human wakes naturally, then we will see what comes next. Lisa nodded. She sent another message, this time to her whole team. No one was to disturb the recreation room. Security sweeps would skip it for now. Danny was safe. The cub was safe. That was all that mattered. 6 hours became 7. 7 became 8. His legs trembled slightly from holding her position so long, but still she did not move. Several times Danny shifted in his sleep. Each time adjusted carefully to keep supporting him. Her dedication was complete. News of what was happening spread through the ship. More came to see. They formed a quiet group in the corridor. Some brought cushions and sat down to watch. This was history being made. They wanted to witness it. A few expressed doubt. One crew member, a male named, spoke loudly enough for others to hear. How do we know this is real? Maybe the human is pretending. Maybe this is a trick to make us trust them. Elder Shen turned to him with sharp eyes. Have you ever seen someone pretend to sleep for 8 hours without moving? His breathing is deep. His body is completely relaxed. No one can fake that level of rest. And look at the cub. She could leave at any time, but she chooses to stay. Had no answer to that, he fell silent. Around the 9th hour, the ship's communication system chimed. A message was coming through for Elder Shen. She stepped away to take it privately. When she returned, her expression was serious. That was council member, she told Lisa. She has been informed that her daughter is missing from their quarters. We told her where is and what she is doing. How did she react? Lisa asked nervously. She is coming here now. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. Was one of the most powerful in the government. She was also known for being very protective of her daughter and very skeptical of humans. This could go badly. Should I wake Danny? Lisa asked. No, Elder Shen said. Let's see this for herself. Let her see what her daughter has chosen to do. It will mean more than any words we could say. 20 minutes later arrived. She moved through the crowd of crew members with quick, angry steps. Her dark fur was bristled. Her tail lashed behind her. She looked ready to scold everyone in sight. Then she reached the doorway and looked inside. She stopped completely. Her angry expression faded into shock. Was still there, still pressed against the sleeping human, still serving as his pillow. The cub's eyes were closed now, but her breathing showed she was awake. She was resting but not sleeping, still on guard, still protecting the warrior's rest. Stared at her daughter for a long moment. No one spoke. The corridor was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Finally turned to Elder Shen. How long has she been like this? Nearly 10 hours now, Elder Shen replied. Looked back at something changed in her face. The anger was gone. In its place was something else. Surprise, respect, maybe even pride. My daughter has given a guardian's blessing to a human, said quietly. It was not a question. It was a statement of fact. A fact she was still trying to understand. Yes, Elder Shen confirmed. Stood in the doorway for another minute. Then she made a decision. She turned to the gathered crowd. No one disturbs them. This is now under my authority. The human will wake when his body is ready. My daughter will remain as long as she chooses. We will witness this and honor it. The crowd murmured in agreement, had spoken. It was settled. The vigil would continue, ordered a chair brought for her. She would not leave while her daughter kept the vigil. If was determined to see this through, then would be there to witness it. She sat down in the corridor with a clear view into the recreation room. Ambassador Lisa Morgan remained as well. She sat on the floor nearby, her back against the wall. Other crew members came and went, but a core group stayed. They were watching something important, something that might never happen again. Elder Shen sat beside. The two had known each other for many years. They had disagreed on many political matters. But in this moment, they were simply two people watching a cub do something remarkable. Tell me about the human, said quietly. Not the official reports. Tell me what you have seen. Lisa heard the question. She was the one who answered. His name is Danny. He has been a security officer for 15 years. In all that time, no one under his protection has ever been harmed. Not once. His ears turned toward Lisa. 15 years is a long career for a protector. Yes, Lisa agreed. He could have retired by now, taken an easier job, but he believes in what we are doing. He believes humans and other species can work together, so he keeps protecting the people who try to build those bridges. What else? Asked. Lisa thought for a moment. 3 days ago, some of your crew were moving heavy cargo containers. Danny saw them struggling. He did not wait to be asked. He just walked over and helped them lift the containers. Your crew members were surprised. They told me later that most aliens would not help with physical labor. They would think it was beneath them. Elder Shen nodded. I heard about that. The crew members spoke highly of him afterward. Yesterday, Lisa continued, Danny spent 2 hours in the galley with your food preparation staff. He wanted to learn about dietary needs. He said that if he was going to protect guests in the future, he needed to know what foods were safe for them. He took notes. He asked questions. The staff said he was respectful and genuinely interested. Listen to all of this. Her expression did not change, but her tail had stopped lashing. That was a good sign. And the exhaustion? Asked. Why did he push himself so hard? There was a false alarm earlier today, Lisa explained. Someone thought they heard suspicious sounds near our quarters. It turned out to be nothing. But Danny checked every room, every corridor, every access panel within 100 meters of our quarters. It took him 4 hours. He wanted to be absolutely certain we were safe. Looked into the recreation room again. Danny was still sleeping deeply, had not moved. The cub's eyes were open now, watching her mother through the doorway, but she did not call out. She did not ask to be released from her duty. She simply watched and waited. My daughter has good instincts, said softly. Better than mine, perhaps. Elder Shen smiled. Cubs often see clearly what adults miss. They have not yet learned to doubt their own hearts. Hours 11 and 12 crept by slowly. The crowd in the corridor had grown. Word had spread throughout the ship. Even Captain arrived to see what was happening. He stood at the back of the group, his arms crossed, his face unreadable. Then something changed. A new group approached. They wore the dark uniforms of the Security Council. These were the ones who did not trust humans, the ones who thought the trade talks were a mistake. Their leader was named. He was tall with black fur and cold yellow eyes. He pushed through the crowd until he stood before. Council member, he said with a slight bow. I have heard disturbing reports. They say your daughter is being used in some kind of human propaganda display. His ears flattened against her head. That was a sign of anger. Watch your words carefully. You are speaking about my daughter. I mean no disrespect to the cub, said. But we must consider all possibilities. The humans know how important cubs are to our culture. What better way to manipulate our emotions than to involve a cub in some staged event? Lisa stood up. There is nothing staged here. Danny fell asleep from exhaustion. Your own crew members can confirm he has been awake for 36 hours straight. Turned to her. Perhaps he is a good actor. Perhaps he is only pretending to sleep. For 12 hours, Elder Shen said sharply. Without moving, without eating or drinking, you insult the intelligence of everyone here if you truly believe that. I believe what can be proven, said, and I see only a convenient situation that makes humans look sympathetic. Stood up from her chair. She was shorter than, but her presence filled the corridor. You question my daughter's judgment. You question her ability to sense truth. That is what you are really saying. Hesitated. I question the humans, not the cub. They are the same thing, said coldly. My daughter chose to give a guardian's blessing. She has maintained it for 12 hours now. Do you know how difficult that is? Do you know the discipline required? I have seen adult warriors fail at holding a position for half that time, but my daughter, my small cub, has not wavered once. Perhaps she does not understand what she is doing, tried again. She understands perfectly, said. She understands better than you. She sees a warrior who exhausted himself protecting others. She sees someone worthy of respect, and she acts on that knowledge with a pure heart, something you seem incapable of. The crowd murmured. Several nodded in agreement, looked around and saw that he had no support here. Even the other Security Council members with him looked uncomfortable. I only seek to protect our people from deception, said stiffly. Then open your eyes and truly look, said. She gestured toward the recreation room. That human has served faithfully for 15 years. That human helps our crew without being asked. That human learns our customs because he respects us. And that human is so exhausted from protecting my people and his people that his body finally forced him to rest. If you cannot see the honor in that, then you are blind. Had no response. He stood in silence for a moment. Then he bowed slightly to and left. His companions followed. The corridor felt lighter after they were gone. Sat back down in her chair. Her hands were shaking slightly. Lisa noticed and felt a surge of respect for the council member. Had just defended a human against her own political allies. That took courage. "Thank you," Lisa said quietly. Looked at her. "Do not thank me yet. This situation is not simple. Yes, I defended the human. But there are many in our government who think like they will see this Guardian's blessing as a problem, not a breakthrough. They will try to use it against us." "How?" Lisa asked. "They will say I am too emotional. They will say my daughter has clouded my judgment. They will say I cannot be objective about the trade talks now." His tail curled around her feet. "They may be right." Elder Shen put a hand on his shoulder. "Or perhaps you are seeing clearly for the first time. Perhaps your daughter has taught you something important." Did not answer. She just kept watching and Danny through the doorway. Inside the recreation room, something was changing. Danny's breathing pattern shifted. His eyelids fluttered. After 12 hours of deep sleep, his body was finally ready to wake. The exhaustion had been burned away. His mind was climbing back toward consciousness. Felt the change immediately. She had been connected to his breathing for so long that she knew every rhythm. Now the rhythm was different. The warrior was returning from his rest. The cub prepared herself. She did not know what would happen next, but she had done her duty. She had protected the warrior's sleep. Whatever came after, she had no regrets. Danny's eyes opened slowly. The first thing he saw was the ceiling of the recreation room, soft lights, familiar shapes. He was still on the ship, still safe. Then he felt the warmth against his side, the softness under his head. Something was wrong. He never slept with pillows. He turned his head slightly and saw gray fur, stripes, green eyes looking back at him. A cub. He was using a cub as a pillow. Danny's eyes went wide. He sat up quickly, his training kicking in. The cub moved as well, finally released from her position. She stretched her legs carefully. They were stiff from holding still so long. "I am so sorry," Danny said immediately in the language. His accent was rough, but the words were clear. "I did not mean to fall asleep. I did not mean to use you as a pillow. Are you okay?" Looked at him with those bright green eyes. Then she did something that surprised everyone watching. She smiled. Did not smile the same way humans did, but the expression was unmistakable. She was happy. "Warriors need rest," said in halting human language. "Cubs keep watch. You are good warrior. I keep you safe." Danny stared at her. Then he looked around and saw the crowd in the corridor. Dozens of watching him. Ambassador Morgan, Elder Shen, and a female in the doorway who looked very important and very focused on him. He looked back at, "You stayed with me the whole time I was sleeping." 12 hours, said proudly. "I not move, you need rest, I give you rest." Danny felt something break inside his chest. Not pain, something else, something warm and overwhelming. This small cub had given him 12 hours of her time. She had stayed uncomfortable and still just to help him sleep better. She did not know him. She had no reason to do this, but she had done it anyway. "Thank you," Danny said. His voice was rough. "That was the kindest thing anyone has ever done for me." Smile grew wider. Then she looked toward the doorway at her mother, was standing now, stepped into the recreation room. The crowd in the corridor remained silent, watching. Danny stood up quickly, recognizing authority when he saw it. He smoothed his uniform with his hands. 12 hours of sleep on the floor had left him wrinkled and disheveled. "Council member," Ambassador Lisa Morgan said from the doorway. "This is Security Officer Danny." Looked Danny up and down. He stood straight, his hands at his sides. He met her eyes but did not challenge her. Good posture for a warrior, respectful but not weak. "My daughter has given you a guardian's blessing," said in human language. She wanted him to understand every word. "Do you know what that means?" Danny glanced at who was stretching her legs and back. "No, ma'am. I just woke up. I apologize for any trouble I have caused. I should not have fallen asleep on duty." "You were off duty," Lisa called from the doorway. "Your shift ended 4 hours before you fell asleep. You were doing extra security checks on your own time." Sears twitched. "Is this true?" Danny shifted uncomfortably. "The alarm earlier worried me. I wanted to be thorough." 36 hours thorough? Asked. "If that is what it took, yes, ma'am." Studied him for another long moment. Then she turned to her daughter. "Come here." The cub walked to her mother on stiff legs, knelt down and looked into her daughter's eyes. Why did you do this? Why did you give this human a guardian's blessing? Did not hesitate. He needed rest. He was protecting everyone. Someone had to protect him. You do not know him, said gently. You do not know if he deserves such an honor. I know, said with complete certainty. My heart knows he is good. Pulled her daughter into a hug. You are very brave and very stubborn. Like you, mother, said. Several in the corridor made sounds that might have been laughter. Evan's mouth curved slightly. She stood up and faced Danny again. A guardian's blessing is an ancient tradition. When a cub senses that a warrior has a pure heart, they may choose to protect that warrior's rest. It is rare. Most warriors never receive one in their entire lives, and it has never been given to an alien before. Danny looked at with new understanding. She did this as an honor. Yes, said. She sat in an uncomfortable position for 12 hours because she deemed you worthy of protection. She believed you deserved to rest in peace and safety. Danny knelt down so he was at Psi level. Thank you. I do not know if I deserve this honor, but I will try to live up to it. Reached out and patted his shoulder with one small paw. You already do. You protect without being asked. You help without wanting reward. You are a good warrior. Danny felt his eyes getting wet. He blinked quickly. He was not going to cry in front of the entire crew, but it was close. Watched this exchange with careful attention. She had been prepared to dislike this human. She had been prepared to find fault with him. But watching him kneel before her daughter, watching the genuine emotion in his face, she found her prepared arguments falling away. There is a ceremony, said. When a guardian's blessing is given, there is a traditional response. Would you like to know what it is? Danny stood up. Yes, ma'am, I want to do this properly. Reached into her clothing and pulled out a small braided cord. It was made from her own fur, something she had prepared years ago in case her daughter ever needed a traditional gift. She handed it to. The warrior receives a token, explained. Something to remember the blessing, something to carry with them, give him the cord. Took the braided cord from her mother. She held it up to Danny. This is from my mother's fur. It is very strong. It will not break. Wear it and remember that you are worthy of protection. Danny took the cord carefully. It was soft and warm. He tied it around his wrist. The gray and black stripes of the braiding stood out against his skin. I will wear it with honor. Thank you, council member. Nodded, then she turned to the crowd in the corridor. The guardian's blessing has been witnessed by all of you. Let the record show that, daughter of deemed security officer Danny worthy of protection. Let it be known throughout our people. The crowd murmured in agreement. Elder Shen stepped forward. I will prepare the official documentation. This will be presented to the council on the... Good, said. She looked at Lisa. Ambassador Morgan, we should speak privately. There are political matters to discuss. Lisa nodded. She understood. This was bigger than just a tired human and a kind cub. This would affect the trade talks. This would affect how they saw humanity. And Lisa left together, speaking in low voices. Elder Shen followed them. The crowd began to break up, though many stopped to look at Danny one more time before leaving. Some nodded to him. Some placed their hands over their hearts in a gesture of respect. Soon only Captain remained in the corridor with Danny, and the captain approached slowly. He was an older with silver-streaked fur and wise eyes. Security officer said, I owe you an apology. Danny looked surprised. Sir, for what? I have been watching you since you came aboard my ship, admitted. I did not trust you. I thought you were like other aliens who see as primitive or overly traditional. I was wrong. You do not need to apologize for being careful, Danny said. Trust has to be earned. You have earned it, said. Not through this blessing, though that is significant. You earned it through your actions over these past days. The crew has noticed everything you have done, the help you offered, the respect you showed, the dedication to your duty. He paused. My crew likes you. That is not something that happens easily with humans. Danny did not know what to say to that. He settled for, thank you, sir. That means a great deal. Nodded and left. Danny was finally alone within the recreation room. He sat down on the floor again, this time on purpose, sat next to him. Are you in trouble? Danny asked her. With your mother? No, said. Mother is proud. She told me with her eyes, but she is also worried. Some do not like humans. They will not be happy about the blessing. I do not want to cause problems for you, Danny said. Looked at him with those bright green eyes. You did not cause anything. I chose. It is my choice. Mother taught me that our choices show who we are. I choose to honor good warriors. You are good warrior. Danny smiled. You are very wise for someone so young. Mother says I am stubborn, said, but also says stubborn can be good if you are stubborn about the right things. They sat together in comfortable silence for a few minutes, then asked, what is Earth like? Is it really a dangerous world? Danny considered the question. It can be dangerous. We have strong gravity, extreme weather, many predators, but it is also beautiful. We have oceans and mountains and forests. We have millions of different types of life. It taught us to be strong, but also to be careful and to work together. I would like to see Earth someday, said. Maybe you will, Danny said. If these trade talks go well, there will be exchanges, visiting Earth. Humans visiting we could learn a lot from each other. Mother says learning is the most important thing, said. She says fear comes from not knowing. When we know each other, we cannot fear each other. Your mother is very smart. Yes, agreed simply. But she is also scared sometimes. She does not show it, but I know. She is scared of making wrong choices. She is scared of the future. Danny understood that. Being a leader is hard. You have to make choices that affect many people. The fear means she cares about doing it right. Thought about this? You are a leader too. You protect people. That is a kind of leading. I suppose it is, Danny admitted. Do you get scared? All the time, Danny said honestly. Every time I am responsible for someone's safety, I am scared I will fail. But I do the job anyway. That is what courage is, being scared but doing what needs to be done. Nodded seriously, then she yawned. It was a big yawn that showed all her small teeth. I am tired now. Sitting still for 12 hours is hard. Danny laughed. I bet it is. You should go rest. You have earned it. Will you be okay? Asked, without me to watch over you. I will be fine, Danny promised. And I will always remember what you did for me, always. Stood up and stretched again. We are friends now. Friends watch over each other. Yes, Danny agreed. We are friends. Walked to the doorway, then turned back. Danny. Yes. Thank you for being worthy of the blessing. It makes me proud that I was right about you. Then she left, her small footsteps padding down the corridor. Danny sat alone in the recreation room, looking at the braided cord on his wrist. He touched it gently, such a small thing, but it meant so much. He stood up and stretched his own muscles. 12 hours of sleep on a floor was not comfortable, but it had been necessary. His body felt restored. His mind felt clear. And something else felt different too, something in his heart. He had come on this mission to protect the ambassador, to do his job, to serve, but now it was more than that. Now he had a friend, a small cub who had seen something good in him and acted on it with pure courage. He would not let her down. Whatever happened in the trade talks, whatever challenges came next, he would live up to the Guardian's blessing. He would prove that faith in him was not misplaced. The horizon's edge approached 2 days later. Danny stood at one of the observation windows, watching the planet grow larger. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, not so different from Earth, really. Maybe that was why the Inhumans had a chance at understanding each other. The braided cord was still on his wrist. He had not taken it off once. Several members of the human delegation had asked about it. He told them the story each time. Their reactions ranged from amazement to disbelief, but they all understood it was important. Ambassador Lisa Morgan approached him at the window. She looked tired but determined. The upcoming negotiations weighed heavily on her shoulders. How are you feeling? She asked. Rested, Danny said with a small smile. Best sleep I have had in years, apparently. Lisa laughed. I imagine so. Danny, I need to tell you something. The Guardian's blessing has changed everything. What do you mean? The Council knows what happened. News spread faster than we expected. When we land, there will be a formal reception. You will be part of it. Danny turned to her in alarm. Me, I'm just security. You are the ambassador. You are the first alien to ever receive a Guardian's blessing, Lisa said. Whether you like it or not, you are now a symbol. They will be watching you, judging humanity based on how you act. Danny felt the weight of that responsibility settle on him. I did not ask for this. I know, but sometimes the most important moments choose us, not the other way around. Lisa put a hand on his shoulder. Just be yourself, be the person that saw in you. That is all anyone can ask. The ship docked at the primary spaceport 3 hours later. Danny stood with the delegation in the airlock, wearing his dress uniform. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. The airlock opened. The welcoming committee stood on the other side. There were at least 50 of them, dressed in formal robes. Danny recognized some faces from video conferences. These were the leaders of the government. Ambassador Morgan stepped forward first. She bowed in the style, her hands pressed together. "Thank you for welcoming us to your beautiful world." The lead official bowed in return. He was elderly, with white fur and kind eyes. "Welcome, Ambassador Morgan. We are honored to host you." Then his eyes moved to Danny. "And we are especially honored to meet Security Officer Danny, the first alien bearer of a Guardian's blessing." Danny bowed as Lisa had done. "The honor is mine, sir. I am grateful for the kindness shown to me by a council member." "Come," the official said. "There is much to discuss, but first there is a ceremony." The delegation was led through the spaceport into waiting vehicles. Danny rode with Lisa, both of them silent as they watched the alien city pass by. The buildings were different from human architecture. More curves, more natural materials, but there were also similarities: parks, schools, shops, people going about their lives. The vehicles stopped at a large government building. Inside, a great hall waited. Hundreds of filled the seats. At the center of the room was a raised platform. Danny's stomach tightened. This was bigger than he had expected. Ambassador Morgan whispered to him as they walked. "Stay calm, follow my lead, you will do fine." They were guided to the platform. The elderly official from the spaceport stood at the front. He raised his hands for silence. The hall quieted immediately. "We gather today to witness history," the official began. His voice carried through the hall without effort. "For the first time in our long existence, a cub has given a guardian's blessing to an alien. This event has forced us to ask difficult questions. What does it mean? How should we respond? Can we trust what a cub's heart tells her?" The hall remained silent. Danny could feel hundreds of eyes on him. "I am Elder," the official continued. "I serve as Speaker of the Council. I have reviewed all evidence of what occurred on the horizon's edge. I have spoken with witnesses. I have consulted our oldest traditions, and I have reached a conclusion." Turned to face Danny directly. "Security Officer Danny, please step forward." Danny moved to stand beside the elder. His legs felt like water, but he kept his posture straight. "You did not seek this honor," said. "You simply did your duty. You protected those in your care until your body could no longer continue. You fell asleep not in comfort, but in exhaustion earned through service. And a cub saw this. She saw your dedication, she saw your pure heart, and she chose to protect you while you slept." Reached into his robes and pulled out a small medallion. It was made of silvery metal and hung on a chain. The surface showed an engraved image of a cub curled protectively around a sleeping figure. "This is the medallion of the Guardian's blessing," said. "It has been created only 17 times in our recorded history. You are the 18th recipient, and the first who is not." Danny knelt instinctively. It felt like the right thing to do, placed the medallion around his neck. The metal was cool against Danny's skin. "Rise, Danny," said. "Rise as a friend of the people. Rise as one who has been judged by the heart among us and found worthy." Danny stood. The hall erupted in sound. Not applause, as humans would do, but a rhythmic humming that came from hundreds of throats. It was their way of showing approval. The sound washed over Danny like a wave. When the humming faded, spoke again. "Now there is someone else who must be recognized." Doors at the side of the hall opened. Walked in with at her side. The cub looked very small in the huge hall, but she walked with her head high, her tail straight behind her. They reached the platform and climbed the steps. Looked at Danny and her eyes brightened. She wanted to run to him. Danny could see it, but she maintained her composure. She was representing her family here. Addressed the hall again. "Daughter of, you have brought honor to your family and to our people. Your instincts were true. Your courage was remarkable. You sat in discomfort for 12 hours because you believed in the goodness of another being. That is the essence of what makes us. That is what we must never lose." Bowed her head, accepting the praise. Stood beside her daughter, and Danny could see the pride in her face. "The Guardian's blessing is complete," said. "Let it be recorded, let it be remembered, and let it guide us as we move forward into new relationships with new peoples." The ceremony ended. The crowd began to disperse, but many approached the platform to get a closer look at Danny. He answered questions patiently. Yes, he slept for 12 hours. No, he did not know was there until he woke up. Yes, he was honored. Yes, he would remember this forever. Eventually, and made their way to him through the crowd, immediately hugged his leg. Danny knelt down and hugged her properly. "You did not tell me there would be a big ceremony," he said to her. "I did not know," said, "but you were very good, very proper. Mother said so." Danny looked up at, "Thank you for allowing this. I know it must have been a difficult decision." His expression was complex. It was the only decision. My daughter's choice had to be honored, but yes, there are those who are not happy. There will be challenges ahead. "We will face them," Ambassador Morgan said, joining the conversation. "Together if you are willing." Met Lisa's eyes. "The trade talks begin tomorrow. We will see if this blessing translates into real cooperation." The next 3 days were intense. Danny was not part of the actual negotiations, but he was present as security. He stood outside conference rooms, walked the halls of the government building, and watched for any threats. There were none. They took security seriously, but it was his job to be careful. What he did notice was the change in how treated the human delegation. Before the Guardian's blessing, there had been polite distance. Now there was curiosity, warmth even. Officials who had been cold during video conferences now stopped to speak with the humans in hallways. They asked about Earth, about human culture, about the delegation's needs. Visited Danny every day. She would find him during his breaks and they would talk. She told him about schools, about her friends, about her favorite foods. Danny told her about Earth oceans, about human music, about the small town where he grew up. These conversations were watched by many. They saw a cub and a human warrior becoming friends. They saw easy laughter and genuine affection. It was hard to fear humans when you watched a human being gentle with a child. On the 4th day, Ambassador Morgan emerged from the conference room with a smile. Danny had never seen her smile like that during a negotiation. It meant something good had happened. That evening there was an announcement. The Council and the human delegation had reached an agreement, a comprehensive trade deal, cultural exchange programs, joint scientific research. It was more than anyone had hoped for. A celebration was held in the Great Hall. Danny stood to the side, watching as diplomats and officials mingled. He was not comfortable at parties. He preferred quiet corners. "Found him anyway," she always did. "They say you helped make this happen," she said, sitting beside him. "I did not do anything," Danny protested. "I just fell asleep." "You did more than sleep," said wisely. "You showed us who humans are. You showed us that humans care about others, that they work hard, that they can be trusted. Mother says that is worth more than any speech." Danny thought about that. Maybe she was right. Maybe sometimes the smallest actions had the biggest impact. "Will you come back to our world?" asked. "I hope so," Danny said, "if I am invited." "You are always invited," said firmly. "You are my friend. Friends are always welcome." Elder approached them. "Security officer, may I speak with you?" Danny stood and bowed. "Of course, Elder." "I wanted to thank you," said. "Not just for what happened on the ship, but for what you have done since arriving here. You have been respectful, patient, kind. You have shown many that their fears about humans were unfounded." "I have only been myself," Danny said. "Exactly," said with a smile. "And that is why I was right about you. She saw your true self and deemed it worthy. We are fortunate that she has such good judgment." Puffed up with pride at the compliment. Continued, "The Council has made a decision. We would like to request that you remain on our world for an additional month. As a cultural liaison, you would work with our security forces, share knowledge, help build understanding between our peoples." Danny looked at Ambassador Morgan across the room. She was nodding. She had known about this. "I would be honored," Danny said, "if my government approves." "They have already approved," said. "Ambassador Morgan contacted them this morning." Danny smiled. Of course she had. Lisa was always 3 steps ahead. "Then yes," Danny said, "I will stay." Cheered and hugged him again. Other nearby heard the news and hummed their approval. Danny felt overwhelmed but happy. The month turned into 3 months. Danny worked closely with security forces. He taught them human techniques. They taught him methods. He learned the language better. He learned the customs. He made friends. Visited him often. She brought her friends to meet the human warrior. Danny found himself telling stories to groups of cubs, stories about Earth, about courage, about doing what was right even when it was hard. Became a friend as well. The political barriers between them dissolved. They had dinner together once a week, they talked about their worlds, their hopes, their fears for the future. When it was finally time for Danny to return to Earth, there was another ceremony. Smaller this time, more personal, gave him a gift, a small carved statue of a cub. "So you do not forget me," she said. "I could never forget you," Danny promised. "You changed my life." "You changed mine too," said. "You showed me that different does not mean bad, that strangers can become friends, that hearts speak the same language everywhere." Danny knelt and hugged her one last time. "You are very wise, little one. You will do great things someday." "I will try," said, "just like you." The journey back to Earth was quiet. Danny spent a lot of time at the observation windows watching the stars. He touched the medallion around his neck. He looked at the braided cord on his wrist. He held the carved statue in his hand. When the ship finally reached Earth orbit, Danny felt a strange mix of emotions. He was home, but part of his heart would always be on the now, with a small gray cub who had seen something good in him and acted on it with pure courage. Ambassador Morgan found him at the window, thinking about. "Always," Danny admitted. "Is that strange?" "Not at all," Lisa said. "She is your friend. Distance does not change that." "Do you think I will see her again?" "I know you will," Lisa said confidently. "The exchange programs are already being planned, and specifically requested that you be part of the first group to return." Danny smiled. "Then I have something to look forward to." They landed on Earth the next day. There was a small reception. Danny's superiors wanted to hear about his time with he told them everything, about the exhaustion, the accidental sleep, the cub who became his pillow, the blessing, the ceremony, the friendships built. They listened with amazement. Then they promoted him. He was now Chief of Security Liaison. His job was to train other humans to work with alien species, to teach them respect, understanding, patience. Danny accepted the promotion. It felt right, had taught him the value of building bridges. Now he would help others build their own bridges. Years passed. Danny returned to the many times. He watched grow from a cub into a young adult. She became a cultural ambassador herself, following in her mother's footsteps. But she never forgot the human warrior who fell asleep on the floor, and he never forgot the cub who kept him safe. The braided cord stayed on his wrist until the day he died, many decades later. In his will, he requested it be returned to. When she received it, she wept. Then she smiled. Her friend had kept his promise. He had lived up to the Guardian's blessing every day of his life. She placed the cord in a museum It was displayed alongside the carved statue Danny had carried with him everywhere. The plaque read, "Guardian's blessing, first contact. Human security officer Danny and daughter of, the friendship that built a bridge between two worlds." Thousands of humans visited the display each year. They learned about the exhausted warrior and the compassionate cub. They learned that the biggest changes sometimes started with the smallest acts of kindness. And somewhere in whatever comes after life, a human warrior and a cub were together again. Friends forever, just as they had promised each other so long ago on a ship traveling between the stars. The end. Danny left the recreation room and headed to his quarters. He needed to shower and change into a fresh uniform. Then he would report to Ambassador Morgan and find out what came next. The braided cord stayed on his wrist. It would stay there for the rest of his life. Etching everything carefully. The moment had come. The warrior was awake. The blessing was complete. Now they would all see what it meant. He warrior needed rest and would make sure he got it. The recreation room fell silent except for the soft sound of breathing. One human, one cub, both completely still in the dim light. Neither of them knew that this simple moment would change everything.